Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Vita Vibes Podcast. I'm your host, Lisbet, and it's been about 2 months since I recorded my last episode and about 2 months since I posted. I actually have 2 episodes that I have drafted, but I haven't posted. And has a lot of things happened in 2 months. I want to do a summer 2024 recap for myself as well, because I was writing down some quick little things that happened in summer of 2024, and I just want to go into those a little bit more in depth. But this particular video, it's not going to be about that. It's actually going to be about my health. And the purpose of this podcast episode is for other females that are maybe going through something similar or have gone through something similar or have experiences with this or something in the health space that they feel extremely alone in. I hope that this brings you comfort because one of the influencers that I follow, her name is Mick, M-I-K, and I'm going to butcher her last name, Zazon, Z-A-Z-O-N. I have been following Mick for a very, very, very long time. She has talked a lot about her experiences with body dysmorphia, with her eating disorders, with getting to a place of being able to work out and eat again without feeling guilty about eating or the foods that you're eating or restricting yourself or over exercising. And I would highly suggest that you go follow her. In the last couple of years, I have loved following Mick because she talks about she's very open about her experiences with her health struggles and mental health issues, which I also have. But in particular, she was diagnosed with endometriosis. She talks a lot about her pelvic therapy and her issues and things that she's going through with that and triggers for UTIs and other types of stuff that she has just experienced. So highly, highly suggest that you go and check her out. But right now, one of the things that she's talking about is how her endometriosis is acting up. She's very inflamed. She's in a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort from her bladder. And I am currently going through my second BV, which is bacterial vaginosis of this year. And I was feeling so alone and down and depressed because unfortunately, if you have ever experienced BV or UTI or yeast infections or anything down there, if you're a lady, it is very frustrating and aggravating, especially if, like, for example, a lot of the times when I go into the urgent care to my gynecologist and I get a UTI or like I think I have a UTI and I go give a urine sample, I want to say most of the time, like 99% of the time, when they do my urine sample, they're like, everything's fine, no trace of anything. And then they send it to the lab and nothing grows, like no culture, like everything's normal. But I don't feel normal. And then you have to advocate for yourself for these symptoms that you do feel, but then the tests are saying that you're fine. So about back in June, I did get a UTI. And then probably because of the UTI, I got a yeast infection and a BV, but I wasn't treated properly for the BV for like about a month and a half because I had gone to the urgent care. They misdiagnosed me. And unfortunately, in the United States of America, getting a doctor's appointment to absolutely anything takes an absurd amount of time. So I would call my gynecologist office like, oh, we can see you in like 4 weeks. And I was like, well, in 4 weeks, I'm already going to finish my antibiotics because I have to be antibiotics because if not, you can get like kidney infections. Like things can go very wrong. So I would obviously go to the gynecologist and everything was fine. So anyways, got a UTI, probably got a BV and a yeast infection. Got treated for the UTI and the yeast infection, but not the BV. So I continued having symptoms for about a month and a half until I finally got to be able to go to my gynecologist appointment again. And she's like, oh yeah, you have BV. And they have to give you a different type of antibiotics because the antibiotics for UTI don't resolve your BV, which it's so confusing. So went for my yearly pap smear, because last year I got some abnormal results in my pap smear and now I have to go back every year to get checked, which I'm not entirely ready to go into too much depth about that because it's something that I am still sort of struggling with. And honestly, I'm terrified of my results where they're going to be, not terrified, but I hope that everything's fine, obviously, with my test results this year because I just got those done. But any little thing, any like my phone notifications, like if anything pings on my phone, I'm like, oh my God, this is from like my gynecologist and things are bad or whatever. And I struggle with health anxiety apart from generalized anxiety. So it's a lot happening. So anyways, I went in for my yearly pap smear and she's like, girl, you got BV again. And I go, what the heck is going on? Like, I take my vitamins, I take my probiotics, maybe my seed probiotics, which I've been using for a very long time, are no longer working. So now I'm looking into different probiotics that I could take. My mom suffered from a lot of UTIs and like different stuff when she was around my age. And in case you don't know, it is hereditary, blah, 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 Spanglish. Even though when I asked one of my, like another gynecologist, he goes, that's not hereditary. But then if you go and do your own proper research online, which here's the thing, I know people say don't go to Dr. Google. However, Dr. Google has been able to give me the proper tools and words to use when I go to my doctor's appointments to explain the symptoms that I have, which then ends up being right. So one big thing I want you to take from this is be your own advocate. And that's something I love that Mick talks a lot about is if you're not feeling okay, if something's not feeling normal, be an advocate, find new doctors, find new specialists, get the work that you need, like get the blood work, get the result, like whatever it is that you need, like be your advocate because you're the only one that's experiencing what you're experiencing. And for someone to tell you that that's not what you're feeling is absurd to me. It's like if you're in a relationship and you go to your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, whatever, and you're like, hey, you did this and it really hurt my feelings. And if they respond back with saying, well, that's not my intention. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Like you took that the wrong way. You cannot take away how someone feels. Okay. The same thing applies with this. If I'm coming to a doctor and I'm telling you, hey, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through. And you tell me, well, all of your test results come back fine. So it might just be in your head, which sometimes I will say sometimes, especially if you experience UTIs and other like stuff and issues, sometimes you really can, like any small little trigger just kind of triggers you and you're like, oh my God, I'm having another episode. Like, am I going through this again? It's very frustrating. So one doctor goes, oh no, that's not hereditary. And then I was like, it is. Like, I know I did my research on this. Like it definitely has a play to it. And it's because of your DNA and your chromosomes and whatever. Like there's a lot of science behind that. So that's one thing. Then another gynecologist goes, oh, period cramps are totally normal. That's actually great. It means your body's working how it should. But okay, some light period cramps is fine, but extreme period cramps, that's not normal, okay? And I have experienced some of that at some point. The next thing that I probably will want to get done, so shout out also, and this is for all girls, guys, if you're listening to this, is get your STDs, STIs, like get all of your shit done. That's annoying. It's not fun, but you need to get it done. Thankfully, in terms of STDs and STIs, like everything's coming back fine. Like I'm good, I'm normal. And thankfully we're in the clear for that. But it is very important for you to know where you stand with your health, especially if you think you caught something or have something. You need to take care of it. Like I know it's not fun. I know you don't want to do it, but you have to do it. It's so much easier to treat something earlier on than to wait years to treat it. And then you're going to get more sick and it's going to get worse. So it's not fun, but you have to do it. The next thing that I probably want to get done for myself is an ultrasound to make sure that my ovaries are looking fine, that everything's healthy. So I'm going to wait back for my pap smear to come back. And then I'm probably going to message my gynecologist and say, hey, would it be possible to schedule an ultrasound and just make sure that my ovaries are fine and that everything's looking good and whatnot? I don't know. I'm honestly frustrated because I'm at a point where I don't even know what to do. I have no idea if this is even like, I don't know. It's very frustrating when you get to a place with your own body and your own health that you don't know what you want to do. And I was so proud of myself because earlier in August, I signed up for ClassPass. I took my first hot yoga class. Like I was very proud of myself and very excited. And now I'm backtracking, and I don't want to cry, but God, I'm just so tired of, I'm filled with doctor's appointments. I'm told that everything's fine for the most part, because there's other shit that's going on. But in terms of like down there from my girl, everyone telling me, oh, you're fine. Everything's fine. This is normal. Like, just drink water, take your vitamins. And then, oh, by the way, so my vitamins that I started taking, because when I got BV like 3 months ago, I was like, okay, this is not happening again. I'm taking my vitamins again. Like I'm on my shit again. So I started taking my vitamins. Guess what happened? Some vitamins, I don't know which one, I think it was vitamin B12, gave me extreme like acne, chin acne. Like it was so painful, cystic acne that was not going away. I cannot explain to you. It was the craziest thing. And then I started Googling a couple of weeks ago, what vitamins give you acne? B12, an excess amount of vitamin B12, something with your estrogen and something like that might cause like an increased level of estrogen. So it just increases your like acne or your possibilities of cystic. It's just so many things. And then if you want to schedule to go see a dermatologist, right? Because I want to get checked up. I have this mole that I've had my entire life, but you always need to get moles checked up because you never know. You just want to be sure of those things. I made the appointment, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, and now I can't make it. It's next Monday and I can't make it because I have meetings that got pushed on my calendar. And of course, I can't plan 3 to 4 months in ahead, and I can't cancel those meetings because I have to show up because I've been missing work because of health issues. And it's so aggravating to be an adult, to work full time, to deal with mental health issues, and at the same time have to go to all these doctor's appointments, follow up, advocate for yourself, be in pain while you're in meetings, while you're doing stuff, and like feeling like you're falling behind, but then reminding yourself you're going through a lot right now and you're in a lot of pain. You're doing the best that you can. And it just does not feel like you're doing the best that you can. So you always feel like you're running short and you're just trying your best, and you can't say like, you can't say this to your manager, like, I'm sorry, figure it out. So it's just frustrating, and it's been nice to have Mick, who I don't know her, she doesn't know me, but to feel less alone during these issues and these struggles. And as I'm navigating, like, do I have like something going on with my ovaries? Do I have something going on with my bladder? Like, do I need to go to pelvic floor therapy? And learning all these different things that I didn't even know were a thing. Like, are you just contracting your bladder more than you should? Like, just so many things that doctors don't take the time to talk to you about, which it's also because the medical system in the US is trash, and they have to be in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, like just the next patient, the next patient, the next patient. So they don't really have the time to listen to what your issues are, to get to know you, to work with you. And it's very frustrating because then everyone just gets an okay service. You get an okay, like, oh, we'll do what we have to do to get you out of here and get you out of my hair. And that's not me bashing doctors. It's unfortunately the way that the health system is set up in the United States. My best friend studied medicine. He's going to be a resident soon. Like, I respect doctors. It's so hard to be a doctor, and you truly have to love it because it's a very, very tough career. And seeing my best friend go through it, I just can honestly, whoa. But because of the way that the system is set up in the United States of America, it is not set up to be helpful to doctors. Like, they're working crazy shift hours and they have really high expectations and just so many things that are happening in the back end that us as patients are not aware of. But at the end of the day, we're a patient, we're in pain, we're not getting the treatment that we deserve. So sometimes there are shitty doctors and sometimes there's just really good doctors that unfortunately just don't have the ability to do the work that they want to do because of the limitations that they run into because of insurance companies, because they want the most money possible. It's just a big fraud. It's all a big fraud, like big pharma, real thing. So at this point, I'm going through a lot of self-diagnosis myself. I might want to maybe find a specific specialist for a UTI. I even went to a urologist, you guys, a freaking urologist. I was the only female in this urologist, but I was the youngest, okay, at that freaking office. I said everything was fine because, like, again, I don't think this is necessarily a urinary tract issue. I think it's something I don't even know at this point. Is it my hormones that are changing? Like, what could it be? So I might want to get my hormones checked, which I've never gotten done because doctors don't do that because they just want to give you fucking prescribe you shit. Um just so many things that at this point I don't even know and I don't understand. And it's aggravating and frustrating and upsetting. And as much as like, I'm a very logical person. I'm like, well, sometimes I'm very emotional. But when it comes to my health stuff, I'm logical, right? I think A, B, C, D. What's the next step I have to do? What's the next appointment? When is it? What time is it? Like, where do I have to be? But I'm getting to a point where I just kind of want to I want to melt in my bed and want to cry. It's just, and then, oh my God. So the first episode back after being on for 2 months, I wanted it to be authentic. This is genuinely what I've been going through, and I've been dealing this for months now, and I know I'm not alone, and it's so frustrating. And one of actually my best, most watched podcast videos on YouTube is one where I talk about women's health, which I so recommend you guys to listen to that episode. That episode is also recorded when I was dealing with UTIs, BVs. Like, I think I recorded that episode before going. I know I did. I'm remembering now. I recorded that episode before having to go to the urgent care because I was in such extreme pain, like burning. Just I can't even describe to you what I was going through at that point. Turns out I had BV, but the hospital missed it. Like, I got tested for BV and they're like, no, you don't have BV. And then they prescribed me like antibiotics for a potential UTI. So I took antibiotics for 7 days or 5 days, which I don't know why they did that. 'Cause, again, healthcare ended up being BV. So then a couple weeks later, when I still had symptoms, I ended up scheduling when I got out of the urgent care. Ended up scheduling a gynecologist appointment for obviously weeks later. Ended up going to that, and that's where I found out that I had BV. So love that episode. It's one of my favorites because I was so frustrated. I was so pissed off. And I think I'm in a different stage of grief, you could say. I'm in the stage of maybe acceptance and just sadness at this point that females have to go through so much and we're not listened to, and we have to advocate for ourselves to this extreme where it's just, and I just can't catch a break. And then apart from other personal health stuff that is going on with the family, but it's just, I feel like as soon as I solve one puzzle piece, something else comes up with my health and I have to figure that out again. So I just wanted to make this very raw, authentic video because it's genuinely what I'm going through. And I know that I'm not alone, and I want other females to know that you're not alone either. Unfortunately, this is something that a lot of us go through, but it's just not talked about. And I don't have a ton of like girlfriends that I can talk to this about. So I turn to Reddit a lot, and I actually find that very comforting to see other people go through similar symptoms as me. It makes me feel less alone. It makes me feel seen. It makes me feel understood versus right now, most of the time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only one going through this. Like, my mom is, past her menopause. She doesn't get a period anymore. So she's like, I dealt with that when I was younger. So I'm like, okay, is it, because of hereditary issues? My sister thankfully doesn't go through this. So it's not something she can relate to a whole ton. And everyone's body, everyone is so different that you can't compare apples to apples. It's not fair to do that. So it's just a weird place for me to be in, and I'm trying my best just to be positive and to try my best to think of the best outcome, but it gets hard. It gets really hard to do that, and sometimes to find the silver lining in the whole picture in the grand scheme of things. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I don't want to deal with having to think of all of the shit that I have, right? And so I'm on antibiotics right now for BV, and I'm on day 3, I want to say. And typically by now things start to get a little bit better, but I'm not feeling a ton better. So now I'm just like, oh my God, please, for the love of God, let me feel better. I don't know what's going on. I just want to cry. So keep me in your thoughts, because your girl's going through it. So I hope that if you stumbled upon this Vita Vibes podcast episode, you feel seen and you feel heard. And this podcast is bringing me, and the episodes that I've done so far have brought me a lot of joy. It's helped me connect with my sister. Like, we have like so many fun episodes. So there's a lot of fun episodes too. This is a very heavy one, but there's fun ones in there where we talk about Bridgerton and all that jazz and ramble on about my Cuban family. But I want to make this raw, authentic, real, what I'm going through. So this is it. And I want to keep talking about this. So I'll give you guys updates in regards to how I'm doing, what I'm feeling. Please make it interactive. Let's ask each other questions. Maybe we can help each other. Maybe if we share our experiences and we talk in the comments about things that we've gone through and what's helped us to figure that out, it might be helpful. So now I'm thinking maybe I want to do electrolytes because I was dehydrated. I went to the ER for another issue a couple weeks ago. I know. And they said I was dehydrated. So I'm like, maybe the dehydration from that caused this too. Cause like dehydration can also cause something in this. So maybe I want to test out electrolytes. Maybe that's what I need. Like maybe that's going to be helpful. So I'm just at this point, I'm just trying everything, and hoping for the best, but I will keep you posted. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that if you stumbled upon it and unfortunately you're going through something similar, or you're dealing with health issues that you're trying to figure out and you haven't been able to, I hope that you feel less alone and more seen. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Adios.